Buongiorno, Fantas. Welcome to an episode of Kenan Kel with Adam and Aaron. I'm Adam.
Capiche? I'm Aaron.
We don't know what capiche means.
I know what it means from my years of extensive Italian 1 and Italian 2 studying.
Oh, yes?
Well, why don't we get to that once it comes up?
Okay, great. This is episode 12 of Kenan Kel Season 1, called Safe and Sorry.
We are sorry to deliver this podcast to you because it is a podcast that should not ever have been recorded from an episode that shouldn't exist.
There are 3 episodes that are on Amazon. The last one that we watched, Bag and Sag and Kel, which we were questioning, like, why did this one make it? It was totally fine for the most part. But this one, there's a lot of reasons why this is not a in the main rotation.
We're going to get into those and all these other reasons why this episode was one for the record books, or maybe not. Maybe not at all, actually, in this podcast, right after a little introduction. As discussions over police brutality have been circulating throughout the country, some questions arise, such as, why do they have so much power? Why don't they have a more comprehensive training program and assessments? Why are they so well funded while other public institutions like schools are not? All of this leads to the very interesting question, do we even need the police? Some mayors have been experimenting with defunding police departments in major cities. While this tends to decrease police brutality, it also tends toward disorder and more chaos. Defunding the police is similar to trapping the entire police force of a city in underground tunnels for an extended period of time, a la The Dark Knight Rises. Pretty soon, the power vacuum of the city will be filled with crooks and vigilantes, some organized, some not. Though Bane and the League of Shadows were defeated by Gotham's altruistic hero, most organized crime operations don't meet such cataclysmic dooms. They persist against all odds, in the face of law enforcement and legal squabbles. They battle tooth and nail for position, negotiating in back alleys, around poker tables, and in leather booths of their favorite Italian restaurants, all across the city. There's not much history written about American mobsters. If there was, I still wouldn't talk about it. All you need to know is that there is such a thing as organized crime, and there's a good chance the mob bosses have more power than you think. They are a force to be reckoned with. Fearing them and choosing not to talk about them is entirely justified. Luckily, the young and curious Kenan Rockmore and Kel Kimball know that organized crime is nothing to get caught up in. Quite unluckily, on the other hand, they seem to be in possession of something that doesn't belong to them. I think we should, at the very end, we should compile all the intros into one podcast episode, and so that'll be it'll be literally like a crash course through history, Kenan and Kel history.
Yeah. Should we organize them like chronologically?
Oh, let's do that. I'll let you take care of that.
Great, can't wait. So, okay, hop on the big orange couch, sit down. We watch a couple, the worst intro that there ever has been for the episode.
It's very bad.
Like, I don't know if you noticed, but they're making up lines and like there's awkward pauses and
the dialogue of this whole episode was beyond amateur.
Yeah, I would like to highlight that it's written by a man named Eric Bowers, who did not write any other episodes, and I believe it was because of that it was written in kind of like a vacuum. Like, he was tasked with writing a show, and he learned a couple things about that show, and because it really doesn't feel like a Kenan and Kel, does it?
No. Do you know what it feels like, Adam? It feels like I'm supposed to write an essay, and I ran out of time for that essay. So I wrote the essay in an hour, a 4-page essay in 1 hour. And there was just throwing everything I could think of, whether it's funny or not, just throwing it out there. Just learn a little bit about the content, and then just BS your way through the rest of it. That is what this episode feels like in sitcom form.
So please join us as we gather it. So Kenan and Kel arrive on stage. Anything noteworthy about their outfits?
Kenan's wearing his gray camo or blue camo. Kel's just wearing a shirt.
It's a normal outfit underneath. It's like it's a green polo and like jeans, but then he's got this insane camo like over shirt.
Oh, it's the fishing jacket, right? It's like the fly fishing camo.
It's just, and yeah, they decide to do some magic tricks, which it might be the worst delivered joke of the whole show so far.
It's pretty rough. Kel, he goes backstage because he wants to show off his magic. He grabs a magic hat, like a magician's hat, and then he has Kenan say this ridiculous spell over the hat.
Laba Waga Daga.
Oh, you wrote it down. Good, thanks, Adam. And
Abladi Ablada is the full phrase.
Thank you. And then Kenan says, "Kel, have you been licking the microwave recently?" Which I thought was a pretty good line.
Yeah.
And then, anyways, he does the spell and pulls out a bunny.
Hey.
Yeah, that's magical.
New ground. But yeah, he asks Kenan to kiss the bunny, to which Kenan replies, "No way, man, that's legal."
Very interesting use of the law here, Kenan, but we'll run with it.
And yeah, Kel has a very notable pause because just trying to remember his line or something here.
Something.
Kenan goes backstage and comes back with his own magic hat and has Kel recite a phrase.
Dippity doo in a gata la dide, maybe?
Yeah, that's definitely an ad-lib, just tossing baby at the end of it.
Yes, sorry, I didn't slow this down to really catch all the syllables.
That's perfect. You put in as much effort as they did writing it.
That's what I'm saying. I felt like I just scrambled this essay together. I didn't even have put a works cited in. I submitted the essay, and then I sent in the works cited an hour later, saying, sorry, I submitted the wrong copy. Can't tell you how many times I've done that. Sorry if any of my professors are listening to this. I highly doubt you are, but sorry.
Yeah, you already got your degree, so they can't take it back. What are they going to do?
I guess I can't do that again because I just gave up my secret.
Yeah, but after Kel says the phrase, Kenan, here's the big joke. He pulls out of his hat bunny sauce.
Yeah, it looks like salad dressing. That says bunny sauce on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so which the audience is. I don't think I've ever heard the audience not into a joke.
They're very upset by this.
Not even like give it like a smattering of applause. They're all kind of like,
It was like a joke that I would have written in 3rd grade, like with my friends on the bus ride home.
Yeah, and it's funny because you can tell that Kenan's immediately like off put by it, and what he says next makes no sense whatsoever. He says, "Sauce makes you think. You reach inside something and you never know what you're gonna pull out." Like that. It's too nonsense ideas, and to which Kel, saves it by saying, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
Well, actually, in lieu of, not in lieu, in light of this episode, that does make a lot of sense.
Yes, it's a good transition to the episode, but a bad transition out of the bunny sauce bit.
Very, very bad.
Yeah. But he says, "Yeah, you'll know what I'm talking about soon," and rushes off. And Kel, all I hear is it goes, and we get into the show.
So we enter Rigby's, as we very often do, and Kenan is building something quite beautiful that is not addressed after this moment, which I think it should be.
In no way. I feel like they found this prop, and they're like, "Oh, we got to make this work." Because it's a giant, rectangular prism, stack of marshmallows, clearly adhered to a box or something.
How dare you not say exactly what it is?
Oh, apologies.
It's a marshmallow hotel. Were you not paying attention?
Right, where a hotel made out of marshmallows that's marshmallow sized. And let me tell you, as someone that's been keeping a very close eye on the financial cost of Kenan and Kel are imposing on Rigby's grocery store, I hate this. I hate this marshmallow hotel so much. because I could count it, but it's not. It's clearly a prop of like there's a box inside, and it's not a true number of marshmallows. He only has like 2 bags out too, and it doesn't even cover it.
Well, he's throwing them away as he goes.
Yeah, but he's got empty bags on the counter.
Are you telling me you didn't count them?
I counted them. So if it was like a pure, if it was marshmallows stacked and stacked and stacked on top of each other, it would be 12 by 28 by 16 marshmallows for a grand total of 6,720. But I feel like it's only like an outer layer of them, so I'll reassess the math for our season finale.
I'm having
How many bags that
traumatic.
really is.
I'm having traumatic marshmallow flashbacks because when we were growing up, you used to grab marshmallows from the pantry and then throw them at me full speed across the kitchen.
Yeah, but they were marshmallows.
Yeah, but you would do it all the time.
Yeah. They made a very satisfying sound, if you recall.
Kind of.
Yeah, I apologize.
That's okay. But for that, all those years of marshmallow throwing, I think you deserve nothing but to count all of those marshmallows and make sure it's accurate.
Yes, I'll give a full accurate count.
Thank you.
What the true number seen on screen is.
And the reason we're spending so much time on this is because it's just about the most interesting thing in this episode. Okay, let's continue.
So it's just a cutaway gag. That's it. They make it, and Chris is like, "What are you doing? Stop messing around." That's it. That's all he does. He could have been doing anything. He could have been juggling like oranges. But yeah, he says, "Bad Chris episode." Absolutely. I want to say
very bad. No personality.
0. But he wants Kenan to clean out the basement. And not just the basement, the storage room of the basement.
Yes, and Kenan doesn't seem too excited about this, and he looks a little bit frightened. So Chris asks if he's scared, which of course, Kenan scared of anything? No way.
Yeah, actually, that is a thing that definitely comes up in later episodes. That Kenan's kind of a scaredy cat.
Oh yeah, his visceral reactions that we've seen in a few episodes definitely come out in when he's afraid. It's very visceral and very. He's very much in his body, you know. He's like an embodied human. I don't know how else to say. That of course he is.
Well, he's fully realized. He's got wants and fears and
actualized.
Yeah, right. But Kel, funny enough, has been the one with more fears listed like throughout these past episodes. But he will happily go out in the basement just to help out Kenan.
Yeah. Kel enters and he says he's going to help out. Kenan entices him to help with
the Dustbuster.
Oh, I was like, what are you going to say it?
You there?
I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I was holding for applause. The Dustbuster.
Ooh.
What a joke.
Very Full House, Full House-esque.
Yeah, can't wait to use that little vacuum. So they head down to the basement.
Yeah, the mini vac. So yeah, the transition scene, of course, is the mini vac sucking up Rigby's. That's kind of how this episode feels. Feels like it's getting sucked up into a vacuum with a bunch of other dirt and pieces of hair. So they I'm very critical. I think I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah. Well, so I just edited the In the Line of Kenan episode recently, and I noticed just the whole episode. You can just kind of feel it on your voice.
I was just angry that episode existed, and the same thing is true here.
Just the chore of the whole the show.
Yeah. So, sorry about that.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes it's the blast. Sometimes we kind of have to muddle through. But hey, we found this episode and we dug it up so the audience, the Fantas, don't have to.
I hope that is true.
We're taking that bullet and making it nice and digestible.
And instead of just watching the episode, you're listening to the episode 3 times. Yeah,
you cannot find the episode anywhere. So don't worry about it. Don't look for it. Please.
So let's go down to the basement.
It's dark.
Yep. First they scare each other when the lights turn on because they're both very spooked. And then Kel finds an old book which he promptly dusts off into Kenan's face.
Which it's really funny because he blows like a mountain of dust in Kenan's face, and then he like brushes it off with like the dustbuster. Like he might have hand brush. It's
Yep. It's yeah. So I mean, like we're getting the inklings of this slapstick humor, very very prominent in this basement scene, definitely. But it's like it just seems so forced. But anyways,
yeah. I think the writer doesn't know exactly who Kenan and Kel are, but Kenan and Kel know who they're supposed to be.
Right.
So like when they are doing this slapstick stuff, and they're really there's a really good Kel moment at the end of the episode, and it's just it's like that's pure Kel. So I feel like they know what they're doing at least.
Yeah. No, they know what they're doing.
And so Kenan finds a taxidermy squirrel to scare Kel with.
Yeah, that part is it's really humorous.
Why must you torment me with rodents?
Yeah, and so then it appears that Kenan has a creature of his own on his back.
Yes, like a giant tarantula.
Like the size of your hand. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely massive. Kel points it out, and because he's so scared, he can't fully say the word spider. To Kenan's frustration.
Yep, we get a little Kel stutter, and then they start to, of course, overreact once Kel lets Kenan know what's on his back. They are scrambling around the basement trying to find something to squash the spider and get him off Kenan's back, and so Kel's looking around, and he finds a sledgehammer. And so that's like, it doesn't go well, of course. He has to put it down. He can't swing it. And then it seems like he grabs either a book or a brick.
The book.
It was the book. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he just starts whacking the spider like whack-a-mole.
He starts wailing on Kenan with it. And it's really funny because he says, yeah, there, he ran away. And then Kenan's mad at him because he didn't kill it. And he says, well, I was just trying to scare him. I didn't want to hurt him.
The innocence of Kel is pervasive right here. It's just oozing.
He didn't want to hurt the spider, but he didn't mind like beating the heck out of Kenan.
Yeah. We won't get into issues of animal abuse here, but
no, hey, they're all for the animals.
It seems like it.
You know what? We're pretty neutral on the animals. I'll say for the episode.
The
spider went free.
Far.
The bunny was in trouble. The taxidermy squirrel.
Right.
So
maybe there's a deeper story here.
well, there's not a shallow story. So let's
just keep on trucking through. All right. So what happens next? Almost spontaneously.
It's not spontaneous. As Kel beats Kenan with the book, something flies out of the book, and Kenan picks it up and realizes it's a map.
I missed that.
So, believe it or not, everything was connected from the spider to the map.
Wow, seamless writing.
Yeah, they start looking at it, and what is the blueprint of?
Kenan thinks the blueprint is of a secret safe, while Kel thinks the blueprint is of a sofa.
A secret sofa.
Secret sofa, yeah, the word safe and the word sofa.
They look very similar. They start, discussing it, and what do they realize? What makes sense to them?
Well, there must be a safe somewhere, and it must have something inside of it. So Kenan says it must have gold or gold coins, and Kel says maybe it has wieners.
Yeah, for all you know, it's full of weenies. Which is so... What?
I don't know.
It's not a...
I made a note of it here. The dialogue here is especially horrendous.
Yeah. The writer knows that Kenan Kel is supposed to get into trouble, so Kel says, that map must lead to trouble. Back in the front of the store, Kenan and Kel are trying to keep quiet about it, and this is a fun bit, because Chris is dealing with a recurring character.
Oh yeah? Who's the character?
A guy that we had seen before. Dave.
Oh yeah?
The delivery guy. He also appeared in the Line of Kenan episode, where he delivered the 10 cases of orange soda cans.
Oh. So there's a common thread among all of these.
Dave ruins episodes.
Dave, you are not my friend, and you are not a friend of this show. Sorry. Dave, if you're out there. Dave, if you're out there, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry.
Well, Chris is upset with Dave too. Why is he mad?
Well, Chris ordered 2 cases of peanut butter. So Dave delivered 2 cases of peanuts and 2 cases of butter.
And he's like, they're not the same. And Dave's like, yep, yeah, they are. Some people mix them together.
Chris doesn't really know what to say, so he's just kind of being bullied into accepting the fact that it's kind of a long bit. It's like, 30, 45, 1 minute. And then
Kenan and Kel come out there, and when they see what the order is, they say, oh yeah, you can mix them together, make peanut butter. And Dave's like, told you.
Anyways, Chris signs, and then does Chris ask, like, how's the basement going?
Yes, and Kel just immediately spills the beans.
Yeah, when Kenan specifically told him not to. Kel yells, like, we found a secret map. And then, this is a really good moment. Everybody in the store, which is about, like, 6 patrons, turn and look at Kel, like, surprised.
With greed in their eyes. And, or confusion. Greedy confusion.
Something. Some emotion.
But... Yeah, Kenan says, he didn't say secret map, he said he needs a nap. And in a scene where I think to demonstrate that Kel needs a nap, he slams his head down into the register. Way too hard.
It's very likely this is what got the episode banned from Amazon.
Yeah, just a real... I feel like Kel was really hurt in this scene.
Yeah, he really, like, banged his head. Well, actually, no. I'm watching it back right now, and it looks like he bangs his head into Kel's forearm.
Ah, okay. It's a stage crash. Well, the sound effect they put is very loud and convincing.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely. Yeah, but anyways, may it be promoting violence? Who knows? But anyways, Kenan...
I think there's a bigger case for that later in the episode. In, like, the next scene.
That's a good point. Okay, anyways, so Kenan and Kel rush to the back of Rigby's, and Kenan yells at Kel for being a blabbermouth.
There is a funny undertone here about how Kel keeps pointing out that the map's not theirs. And like, in this scene, he says, Kenan replies, hang on, sorry. Kenan replies that, it's not ours. Someone might try to steal it or something. We're referring to the map and the treasure.
Right.
that they think it refers to. That, like, he thinks he's like, look, it's not ours. Someone might steal it from us.
Again, the plot development's really weak.
Yeah, we should stay on target for the episode. So let's go back home to the Rockmore household and watch an Italian mobster movie.
Yeah, black and white on the TV. We got a scene on the TV which will look very familiar in coming moments. But basically, we have a disagreement between let me see if I get their names right. Risotto and Figlione? No, I think I just made that up.
Yeah, I think it might be Figlione. Figlione works for Sabrecki. Possibly might be it. They do their Italian joke this episode is that the mobsters' names are like forms of pasta and pasta dishes.
Yep.
So it's good, sort of. Hey, we can take offense at that if we want.
In today's day and age, we can take offense at that. But I will not. That's against my moral compass.
Neither will I.
Anyways, Kel is terribly frightened by this movie.
He would much rather watch a rerun of I Love Lucy.
Fabrizi says something to Rissotti, and he says, I believe you have something that belongs to my boss.
They have a exchange like that. They call each other names. He's not afraid of Risotto, and I think Risotto's not afraid of him. Refers to him as a fat truck.
Yep, great comeback. We got great comeback.
Yeah, and they the way that the scene eventually ends is some violin music starts playing, and
Fabrizione says, say hello to my little friend. And he reaches into his jacket and pulls out something that we don't see, but we suppose is a gun.
We hear rapid fire as the family reacts and jumps out of the chair. And that's the end of the movie, too. That was the climax.
That was it. That was the end. No denouement, no... Anyways.
Twice so far in Kenan and Kel has Kenan referred to this line, "Say hello to my little friend." Once when he turned a water gun on some kids in the store.
Oh, yeah.
And another one when he showed off his knockout remedy.
Must be a Scarface fan.
Well, I wonder if both Kenan and the writer of this movie were Scarface fans, or if Scarface doesn't exist in this universe and Kenan just loves referencing this movie.
You said writer of this movie, as in the movie that is playing within the episode of Kenan and Kel.
Yes.
I think so, you meant to say writer of this episode.
No, that's a line from Scarface. The guy who wrote the movie in the canon of the show must be really big on Scarface. Or he's the guy that originated it. It's one of the two.
All right, let's move on. We're getting nowhere.
Yeah.
Anyways, as soon as the shots fire, everybody in the Rockmore household, as in Mr. and Mrs. Rockmore, Kenan and Kel, sitting on the couch, they all jump and scream in terror. And Cheryl says, "That scared the whiz out of me." Almost. Almost scared the whiz.
Yeah, almost scared the whiz out of me. Kel's like squeezing Kenan's dad.
There's a really funny joke coming up where Cheryl says, "Okay, let's get to bed. You know you get cranky and mean when you don't get enough sleep." And then Kel says, "You must never get enough sleep." And we have a nice little laugh. I think the best joke of the episode right there.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Because it's the usual dynamics. The writer got the note that Kenan's dad's angry. He doesn't show it, but they reference it.
And doesn't like Kel.
So Kenan's wearing his theme song outfit. I know that. I also know that Kenan, he's the right age to our Christmas episode was filmed last theory. Like, he's kind of right between where he was last episode and where he is at Christmas. He's getting a little bigger, his hair's a little shorter, and his cheeks aren't as, rosy.
Yeah, the chronology of Kenan Rockmore. Sounds like an intro. Here is the chronology of Kenan Rockmore.
He calls Kel a dumb truck, like they did in the movie, and says, "Come, let's look at the map." And they explore that map.
They realize that it is a map of Rigby's.
And they argue about the safe a little bit. And there's a really good line to end right before the commercial where they, Kenan says, "Tell me why we shouldn't, follow through to try to get the safe that's in there." And Kel says, "The safe doesn't belong to us." And Kenan's just like, "So, finders keepers. Losers dead."
Yeah, I mean, he's like, "Give me one good reason why we shouldn't find that safe." And then Kel gives a very good reason why they shouldn't, go look for that safe. And Kenan's just, doesn't know where to go, so he says, finders keepers.
Yep, finders keepers.
Like they're playing on the playground.
This is a safe probably with a lot of money that belongs to someone else. Cut to commercial. We end up in a new set. I think this is the only time we ever see this set. It's the back of Rigby's. And it's not the same back of Rigby's as from the Mo Sweater Blues. It's like, there's a back door that leads down to the basement. It's real different.
Yeah.
And shady.
I almost didn't recognize, I didn't really know where they were. That makes sense, though.
They're talking to each other, and they said, there's no reason to be scared. When suddenly, a large man appears. It's like what, 11 p.m. or something? 10? It's late.
Yeah, and
they're out past their bedtime, clearly.
This guy just shows up right behind them. And yeah, it's scary. It seems like a dream, instantly. It seems like what? Well, I mean, the character is very similar to Fabrizioni. And
yes.
And
he literally so he introduces himself as Mosticelli.
Yeah.
Another pasta dish, and he says, "I believe you have something that belongs to my boss."
The same line that Fabriz guy said. I can't believe how many times I'm saying his name incorrectly.
yeah, the same thing that Figuroni says.
Figuroni.
That's not it either. Just, I think it's funny if we never get it right.
Ricotta.
Yeah.
No, that's
So yeah,
terrible.
he says that to them, and they are, very freaked out and don't give him a good answer. And what does he reply? He says like, I'll come back when you were a little more under control.
Yeah, very scary.
Very weird. Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very weird. Yeah, yeah. Why was he there?
Well, they go downstairs back into the storage room that we saw before, and they immediately start connecting dots of that what's happening in that mobster movie we just watched is happening to us right now, and that guy clearly this is his safe, and he wants it.
Oh, definitely. Yes, yes, yes. They are very sure that the guy is out for blood and wants to kill them, just like they killed Risotto. And yeah, so Kenan says like, oh, we can't give him the map because then we become disposable, which I think is really pretty smart.
It's smart, but it's also real serious. The stakes of this that they think the stakes are is that they're gonna get gunned down. Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, the guy is resemblant of the exact character they were just afraid of in the movie.
Yeah, there's no... I guess what I'm saying is that there's no through line. There's no room for interpretation. It wasn't like a horror movie where they got, like, stalked by a scary monster.
Right.
Like, they think that they're going to get, shot for dealing with mobsters.
Yeah, they're I don't know, tolerance for what stressful situation seems to escalate. It seems to escalate. They don't seem to have much tolerance.
They try and map out where the safe is located in the basement. Kenan's staying there, and Kel says something that's not very funny at all.
The intelligence line was kind of funny, but I mean the whole thumb gag, like thumb on the map, like how lame is that? They couldn't think of
Not
anything.
great.
Could think of anything a little bit better. Like their life is in jeopardy.
So they follow the map, and where does it lead them?
Leads them to a wall.
And they argue about the wall. And Kenan ends with punching a hole into it.
Because he gets really upset and angry.
Yeah, and he realizes that's a fake wall. And they tear it down.
That is not a fake wall. That is just a wall that is not very well constructed.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's a wall, technically.
It's a wall. It's a wall. It's just
Yeah,
it's not a fake wall. What does that mean?
Yeah. It's like a dummy, I guess.
I mean, I get it, but anyways.
I'm not going to fault them terribly for this scene because they clearly didn't, maybe one or two takes, because they clearly punched through this wall and destroy this part of the set. So how many times do you think they did that?
Yeah, it's an irreversible moment in Kenan and Kel history.
Yeah, we have never seen a wall destroyed like this before.
Never. I told you this was a historic episode. What do they decide to do?
They discover the safe, and they don't deal with it right away. They don't crack it, or maybe they attempt a little bit, but they can't seem to get it.
Yeah, Kel doesn't think they should open it because he doesn't want to end up like Risotto. And
there's no more risotto.
Yeah, no more risotto. Yeah, and then basically we just transition with bullet holes to Rigby's the next day in the daytime.
Yep. Bullet holes, unmistakable.
Absolutely.
Just, they're hanging out at the counter of Rigby's, and who shows up again?
Zig Ziglar. What's his name?
Or Masticelli. What you get it?
Mastiglione.
Yeah. He rolls around and he says the same line again. I believe you have something that belongs to my boss.
And they're stammering. They don't know what to do. And
yeah, they say that Chris isn't here right now. Yeah. Oh, what's his solution?
Well, the man who's clearly realizes Kenan and Kel's incompetence and says, why don't you tell my boss yourself, once you figure out that thing that you're supposed to give him. And then he says, capiche? And Kenan and Kel are just so perplexed by this moment.
Yeah, we don't know what capiche means.
Yeah. They look at each other and are just terrified at this word.
What does, for all our fantas here, what does capiche mean?
Well, it's actually more like capisce or capisci. Because in Italian you pronounce every single letter. All those Italians where they like drop off the letter at the end, that's like Italian American. But anyways, capisce means like, do you understand? So it's usually asked like, I'm saying something, like, do you understand?
Oh, I noticed two things about this. That it's a good subtle thing. It happened back in the alleyway earlier, and it happens after this scene, but Kel starts humming the violin song.
Oh, does he? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that's a really fun little piece. I don't think that's in the script. I think that's
Kel taking over.
Doing a good job.
Yeah. He did a good job this episode. I'll give him that.
They don't know what to do. So what do they do?
Well, the man tells them to meet his boss at Mariana's restaurant at 6 p.m. sharp.
Mariano.
Mariano.
It might as well be Mariano's
Marinara.
Marinara's place.
At 6 p.m. sharp. And they, of course, are terrified again. So, very quick transition to 6 p.m. at Marinara's.
They come in through the doorway, and Kel says a variation on one of his catchphrases. He says, "But I'm just a boy, an innocent boy."
So they are met by what's his name? Manus Skelly,
Master Chairman,
Master Cello, and Master Cello meets them. And anyway, and he shows them to the booth.
I'm glad we didn't defend Italians early in the episode. I'm glad because we really are not showing our heritage very well.
My DNA test says I'm 0% Italian, so I don't know if I have any room to speak here. Anyway,
true.
so they usher, this guy who appears to be like a hitman for this mob boss. That's the role that he's playing. He ushers Kenan and Kel over to the booth where the mob boss is sitting. Now, if you've ever seen like an Italian mob movie, the restaurant that the mob boss hangs out at is a really elegant restaurant, very high class, and the booth is in the corner. It's like everybody's coming to him, women and politicians, and everybody's just coming, showing up, and he says a few words, and then they leave. This is like the Italian restaurant on Everybody Loves Raymond. It has like the like the red and white checkered tablecloths, green booths. It's like your family Italian restaurant.
Yeah, right. It might be a hint at what's to come here. It's also the same restaurant that's in the movie.
Yes,
I don't know if you noticed this, but
I alluded to that earlier in this episode. So yeah,
they have wine bottles on the racks. It all lines up right.
Exactly right.
And across the table is the very large and very in charge Mr. Maniaci.
Mr. Marinara himself.
Yes. Maniaci starts asking them, so where is it? And they start blabbering like. We didn't even know it was yours and all that stuff. And it's a very stressful situation with the two of them.
Stressful is a good way to describe it. So really quick, before this conversation begins, Mastodon throws Kenan and Kel into the booth very dramatically, and then he sits in the same booth and it's preventing them from getting out. So Kenan and Kel are all but trapped, which leads to the stress.
Yeah, there's some real physical intimidation happening. And then, as they discuss it, they start to freak out more when some violinists show up and start playing music. And Mr. Maniaci, great line here. He says, "What? Do you have a problem with haunting themes?"
That was a good line. That was a good line. He's like, then the boss man says, whatever his name is, Marionero.
Mr. Maniaci.
And he says...
Mario says...
Mario and Luigi say, this conversation seems to be going nowhere. And so then he hints at Mr. Mastodolone, and he says, he hints at him. And then that guy says, "Why don't you say hello to my little friend?" And then Kenan and Kel start freaking out. And then
He reaches into his jacket.
He reaches into his jacket, pulls out a napkin, and wipes off his brow. And then a little boy comes out from the kitchen. And 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 that's his little friend.
Yeah, he's like, Mr. Mariachi's like, oh, this is my son, Michael. And feels like a very Dan Schneider line. He gives him, here's $20. Go get yourself a massage.
Yeah, it seems like a very Dan Schneider line for a few reasons. But yes, that happens. And then Michael leaves. And somebody else shows up.
Chris.
Chris.
With a big brown paper bag.
Chris shows up, and Kenan and Kel are befuddled.
They're like, Chris, you know this guy? And he says that he used to work for Mr. Maniaci. From last episode, we learned that Chris was in groceries for pretty much his whole working career.
17 years.
17 years from when he was a boy to about Kenan's age to now. So there's only one thing that makes Chris used to work for Mr. Maniaci. And I believe he must have been the previous manager for Rigby's grocery store.
Or Chris had 2 jobs at one point, working at that restaurant.
That could also totally be the case. It's not elaborated on, but Chris, at some points, was employed by Mr. Maniaci.
If that is his name.
And he reveals the something that belongs to their boss.
The something that Kenan and Kel were intimidated by this entire episode, what they thought was the map that led to the safe or sofa, was actually a plunger.
Yep.
That's the gag. That's the whole episode, people. That's what this was all about.
Mr. Maniaci couldn't buy another plunger. He had to send his lackey to intimidate Rigby's employees at 11 p.m. the next day in the afternoon, and then at 6 o'clock at his own restaurant.
I want to know who borrows the plunger, and why would you borrow a plunger if it's any circumstance that isn't like urgent? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the only reason you'd borrow a plunger is if it's very urgent.
He says we've been having a little problem.
But, like, he definitely has a lot of time.
That might be some of it, the urgency. It also could be a Sunday. My better justification is that it's some kind of heritage. Some kind of heirloom plunger. Because if he was previously the manager there, he's like, oh man, Rigby's has the best plunger. I love that thing. It's the best. I love that thing so much, I want to put it over the table where I eat my Italian food.
What is happening? Like, what?
I just want to pass it naked over my food.
The whole episode just like spirals out of control from this moment on.
It's real dumb.
It's really dumb.
Kenan Kel laugh at the situation, laugh so hard they start crying.
Yes, the tears seem to be out of misery instead of laughter.
And they between scenes tell Chris what's going on and why they freaked out.
Yeah, that got cut from the episode.
And we're so
people.
paranoid.
So yeah, they end up in the basement, and they are showing Chris the safe.
Yeah, Chris is like is very amazed by it, and he helps them open it. Somehow the safe that was buried in the wall is easy to open. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that it's a 3-man bar job. So like the 2 of them wouldn't work out, but Chris is a full-grown adult and he knows where the safe opening bar is.
That or the combination was on the blueprint, but
I
mean, these are theories that do not need answers.
Kenan and Kel were so freaked out and paranoid that they were like, we can't open this. What if there's like mob money in there?
Right. Maybe it was open. Who knows?
But they crack open that safe and reveal its contents to the world. Inside the safe is a
sofa.
Which, I'll be honest, the first time I saw this episode was like on the treadmill in high school. And I think that saves a lot of the episode. It's a really, because unlike the dumb obvious plunger, like, butt of the joke. It's really subtle because they keep hinting at it. Because every time Kel's looking at it, he's like, "I think it's a sofa." You're like, you just think it's a bad joke mixed in with all the other bad jokes, but no, it really is a sofa, and he was right. And he celebrates and explodes with joy. That is a sofa.
His celebration is very reminiscent of the screw in the tuna scene. It's got the same tone, except he's more happy.
Yeah, he's shouting like, "I was smart. It's a sofa." And Kenan shakes his arms, does his why?
He's like beating himself up. He's like punching himself.
Yeah. Does his classic why, and then Kel, for once, maybe in the entire show, replies to the answer why.
Because it's a sofa.
Yeah, so at least it ends on a high note, and it not like a fizzle out.
I'm glad you think that this was a high note. I'm gonna save my opinions about this.
Well, what do you think? What's a funnier thing you could be in that safe?
I don't know.
I stand. All right, I will stand by that. I think
I don't want to talk about it. I'm all but over
right.
this.
Yeah, let's finish this up real quick here.
Yeah.
They're out back on top of the stage, and again, for some reason, this intro outro is really bad.
Really
Kenan's
bad.
just saying like nothing, riffing about the sofa, and he spins around to reveal that there's a spider on his back once again.
And yeah, there's a spider on his back. They freak out, and then Kenan pretty much just leaves.
And well, Kel is like, "Oh, don't worry, Kenan, I'll get it." He pulls out the sledgehammer again. That is the whole episode.
That's the episode. I have trouble with this episode. It was so scattered. There was so much happening. The writing was not the best. The dialogue was even worse. The plot devices were kind of just cringy. The movie, and then it was kind of amusing, but mostly just like why why?
Yeah, I thought a lot of it was moderate, but it's really not a Kenan and Kel plot.
No,
because I'm going to ask you a question: whose fault was this situation? Was it Kenan's or Kel's? And it's kind of like,
I mean, it seems like there was an outside force that was very threatening and could have made things a lot more clear for Kenan and Kel, but instead he intimidated them to no end.
Yeah, the problem was miscommunication. Like a guy that would not just use regular like that used pronouns to ruin a situation. There's something here. Do you have that plunger that Chris was?
Yeah.
Hey, but yeah, we have a problem, and Chris said we could use your plunger.
Yeah. It seems like a very avoidable problem, which is why one of the reasons I found this episode just like, really, guys?
I just realized, Chris knew that he needed their plunger, and swung by at like 6. When did he?
I don't know. When Chris right before Chris showed up, like while they're sitting down in the booth, I'm like, oh. Maybe it was Chris who like wanted to play a prank on Kenan and Kel, and Chris is like in on it
for being lazy.
Yeah,
like that's
for being lazy.
Wow, it's a much better episode.
Yeah, no, or something like actually like placed something in the safe. He asked Kenan to go down in the safe because he knew he would find the map, and then inside the safe was like a gotcha or some gag.
Yeah, that's a much better episode.
I think so. Like, it wouldn't have taken that much more, like, filming or anything. It would have just taken a little bit better writing.
Inside the safe is a bunch of, like, cleaning supplies. And Chris, like, is like, gotcha!
Yeah. Yeah, then it would have been a good Chris episode. It would have been, like, a Kenan and Kel are just, like the victims of this terrible tragedy.
Do you think it's anyone's fault, or is it, like, maybe half and half?
It's a moot point here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try to. This isn't a problem that they wished upon themselves. It was this guy would intimidate anyone. If I was working at a store and this guy showed up and did this to me, I would be equally in trouble.
I mean, Kenan was very, very, dead set on opening that safe, which didn't belong to them. So maybe it was Kenan's fault, but I don't know. Not directly.
I'll give Kenan half a fault.
Yeah, okay, give him a half.
It's not. I give him a half. That other half goes to the universe.
Good.
Yeah, Kenan got a Y in. Kel got half of it. I'm just a child. And no mention of orange soda whatsoever. It just goes to the it goes to tell you what's going on about this. But yeah, Kenan's a bit of a scaredy cat. That's what we learned about the Rockmores this episode.
Definitely.
And Rigby's a to be determined number of marshmallows were just destroyed by Kenan for no good reason.
Not thrown across Rigby's at Kel, might I add.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So before we wrap up here, I've got one really fun piece of trivia that I want to go over.
All right, let's hear it.
So the character Mr. Maniaci is played by a man named Robert Costanzo. Mm-hmm. And Robert Costanzo has a vast career of playing, as it says on Wikipedia, over 40 years of playing sultry New York City types such as crooks and low-level workers, policemen, mixes in both dramas and comedy roles.
Oh, that's really funny.
He's often the voice double for Danny DeVito.
No way.
Yeah. So in stuff like I don't know, like the Hercules video game, and like Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that, he'll voice like Phil, the Danny DeVito style character.
That's really good. Very cool.
Yeah. Also, all his characters are like listed here on Wikipedia, and it's just a drinking game of Italian names.
Oh, that's funny. He's just this big Italian guy.
Massimo, Luigi, Sal, Don. He's plays characters named Boss Man, Italian Man.
I have a feeling that he was they either paid a lot for him to like be on set.
He's I would call him a character actor. He does one thing very well, and they knew that like they called up a friend. They're like, hey, we need the Italian guy.
Yeah. The scary Italian guy.
They got him. Yeah. Okay. So let's not draw this out any further. Everyone's been dying to know. Out of 10 bottles of orange soda, what would you give this episode?
5.
5. Yeah. I was so I would give the majority episode a 4, but I'm telling you that's safe. Just for that feeling that I got from that safe reveal when I was younger, and loved it. It gets a 5 for me too. So,
I thought you were gonna go up to 6. Yeah, wow.
Oh no, this is a stinker. It doesn't.
It's a stinker.
It doesn't belong with Bag and Sack and Kel. Oh, that's you. It doesn't belong within the line of Kenan, or the pilot.
In the line of Kenan, I blame Dave. Is it Dave, the delivery man?
Yeah, he was in those 2 episodes. I think that's it.
D is for delivery.
And for what it's worth, IMDb gave this episode a 7.2.
Which is outrageously high.
Yeah.
Everybody's very nice on IMDb.
Ranked 44 out of 63, so it's very low on the list.
Yeah, lower third almost.
Yeah, definitely lower third. So, I would say that that makes sense to me. It might even be my lower like sixths. Like it's real. It's a.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
A lot of those later seasons have more fun. But yep, that was it. That we finally got through it.
Woo!
Now it's nothing but nets for the rest of season 1.
There's only how many episodes left? 1?
Yeah, that was episode 13. The final episode 14, is called what? You have it on Amazon.
Twizzles Fizzles.
Yep. Twizzles Fizzles, and I've
can't wait, people.
Written by Dan Schneider, Kevin Capello, and Heath Seifert. So,
this is the dream team.
The Good Burger Dream Team is here to write this one.
Oh, phenomenal. You're in for a treat, people.
Yeah, it's a good one, too. I have also a really great personal story with this one as well, so I cannot wait to tell it.
I'll have to dig up a personal story so I don't feel like I'm not behind O2.
Yeah, okay. So thank you for joining us. Leave us a 5-star review. And, find us on social media. We love talking to any fans out there.
Thanks for being here, everybody. We really appreciate it. And as they say in Orlando, Florida, aw, here it goes.
Thank you for listening. You can send us an email at KenanKelPodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at anchor.fm/KenanKelPodcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all at Kenan Kel Podcast.